Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome everybody to Midnight Mandela. Well, it looks like it's kind of slow. I did get the notification out an hour in advance. I don't know if YouTube actually did it, but let's see who's in. Preliminal, Linda Lava Layup, Shari D, Jumping Ship, Angels Del Fall, and Love Matrix. Welcome to everybody. So it's been really slow. There's not a lot of Mandelas. If you guys have any you want to share, now is the time, because I have like 5 and they're not like really long ones. So I didn't have a ton of time hunting this week either, but still it's definitely been slow. Okay, so and you can see I didn't even get any of the windows lined up. All right, let's start with the thumbnail one. So, I don't know about you guys, but I remember both the North and South Pole originally being explored via dog sled. And I guess that made sense when there was land and ice at the North Pole. But even now, there's supposed to be semi-permanent sea ice, so you still could dog sled it. But apparently, the story now is that we went there in one of those, what do you call those things? Airships. That's it. I don't know when did we start calling it airships. That was always blimps for me when I was a kid, and I never really heard the term airship until the last 5 or 6 years. So supposedly, we went there first in an airship called Norge. The Norge, Norge, I'm calling it that, was a semi-rigid Italian-built airship, so maybe it is Norge, that carried out the first verified trip of any kind to the North Pole, an overflight on 12th of May, 1926. It was also the first aircraft to fly over the polar ice cap between Europe and America. So let's look at this beast. Now, I can't help but be struck at that the image just looks a little fakey or something. Like, there's this guy. He's, like, totally sharp with all these details. Then the horse is all fuzzy or whatever the heck. And, I didn't really have horses that could go to the North Pole in my old timeline. Now we have these Yakutian horses and stuff. I covered those on other shows. So, for some time after the reindeer first appeared in Mongolia, that was said that the reindeer were the only hoofed animals that could tolerate the extreme cold, and that's why the Mongolians farmed them. But now we have all these other creatures. So it just seems weird. Like, these are really sharp, but then this guy is not sharp, and that guy is bigger, but you can barely see him. And this is pretty sharp, but this is all fuzzy. This looks like it was pasted in or something. I don't know. The whole thing, a lot of Mandelas, it's like old photos show up, but they look kind of funny a lot of times. And I've definitely noticed a lot of the old photos don't look right. Like, if this guy's so sharp and in focus, then why are these guys are pretty sharp and in focus too, way out here? But these guys aren't. I don't know. It's off. But it's been time complaining about it since we got nothing better. No blimp dogs on land. Yeah, well. Has anybody heard anything about wind egg or cock's egg? No. Wind egg, huh? Wind egg. Windigo, yeah, but wind egg. Oh, interesting. Yokeless egg. A wind egg is most often a pullet's first effort produced before her laying mechanism is fully ready. In a mature hen, a wind egg is unlikely to occur, but can occur if a bit of reproductive tissue breaks away, stimulating the egg-producing glands to treat it as a yolk and swap it in albumin. rapid in albumin. Membranes and shell as it travels through the egg tube. No, I have not heard of that. Yokeless eggs. So they're not that rare according to this thing. So what, it's just a big bunch of white stuff then? There's no yolk. Here's an image of one. That would be highly disappointing because I really like the yolk. If I cut it open and there was no yolk in there, I would not be a happy camper. You know, of all the million eggs, how old am I? You know, middle age. I have never once had one of those. Or a double yolker, I might add. Which I don't remember there being much of. But these days, there are. Wind egg. I'm just going to add it since I got nothing. So yeah, interesting. Okay, now you're making it hard on me. Abstract devotee? Manned animals in, no horses. Yeah, no horses out there, but that definitely looks like a horse. I mean, it could be like a donkey or something, but even those couldn't do it back then. No way. Yeah, cock's egg, you kind of think, well, aren't they all that? But, you know, I guess that would be a not cock's egg, really, but... Or when they are too old, they produce wind egg, huh? Yeah, so there should definitely be some in... You know, I guess they could maybe check those, but I have eaten fresh eggs before, too, quite a bit. And we don't check, I mean, they're not checked in advance. They just grab them out from the ground and put them in a carton and stick them in the fridge. And we don't wash them because that washes off the protective outer coating. We don't wash them until right before we cook them. Okay, so yeah. What else is going on with this Norge? There was another. There's not a lot of photos of it either. So it says Norge Ni. I wonder what the Nini stands for on the side there. Okay, so this one is another one I saw. I didn't put this one up because it's not long and skinny, so it's not really good as a... Or maybe I did use this one. Maybe I did take this one. So you can still the Ni and then the Norge here. So I don't know, are they didn't really say what this is. Are they launching this from somewhere in the north near the North Pole, like at the top of Canada? Because look at all these people. So, or did they all come and drop down? See, there's like a little spire here. So I'm thinking this has to be the launch point where they took these photos. Somewhere in the north of Canada. Even so, though, in that kind of snowy region, there were no horses. That's why you had to have the sled dogs. That was the only ones that could survive. There's no fresh grass or nothing up there. Although, I don't know, maybe by now there will be soon. It seems like Canada's getting greener and greener. So yeah, almost no photos. I would not be surprised if more showed up. So this one came from Thomas Larson. Good find, Thomas. I think I heard some kind of mumbling about this like last month, but I didn't really pursue it, and I have not heard anything about it before that. I would have thought that the extreme conditions would maybe make it unsafe. I don't know, you know, when I'm thinking about it, I don't really know, but it just seemed like the ice would maybe damage the exterior skin of airships. But obviously that's not the case now. You know, bad winds, were you going to be able to control that thing in the storms? There's one more photo here. This one's a big one, actually. Okay, so I don't know. That might be a hill, or is that a building? Bunch of people landing at Teller, Alaska. Okay, so this is Alaska launch. I don't know. So anyway, I call Mandela on that one. I thought new laying eggs produced double yolk eggs. There's always got to be some excuse. See, now the part that they said was like a small piece of material broke off to make these wind eggs, and then that traveled through the body, and then the body wrapped it in the yolk and stuff. But you see these cut open no yolkers, there's no seed at all in the center. It just looks like solid white. So I mean, it just seems a little like baloney, that storyline. Did you see my message about Star Trek episode where they found the dead astronaut with 52 stars on the US flag on his suit? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had that one on like 2 years ago or something. It's kind of an older one. It was making the rounds in many of the shows too. So either I had it on or I decided not to because it was really well covered already. So if I don't always cover them if they've been like on every other show already. The Quick is in. Jamie Sliger is in. Mandanimal. Shari says, never seen blimps or Zeppelin going to North Pole or South Pole. Yeah, I've just never heard of it. And I think I just assumed that the extreme frigid conditions would damage the skin and stuff. Because I always felt like my old impression of them, and I'm not sure if that's still the case, was that they had a very light, thin skin to keep the weight down. What about the thing where people have an extra artery in their arms? Yes, that's weird, and yes, I have had it on. Sweetheart 11. The energies are killing me. Other than that, same. Yep. The vitamins really are helping me a lot, though, I have to say. The vitamin B1, Alcar, which is a form of carnitine, and the taurine, especially the B1 and the Alcar. Definitely feel bad. Now, this is a weird thing, too, that I tried this week. I've done it about 6 or 7 days in a row. So I kind of noticed that I'll sleep about 5 hours, and then I'll kind of wake up and I'll feel pretty awake, and then I'll get sleepy again, and I'll go back to sleep, and I'll sleep another couple hours. So it equals about 8 hours. And then I feel like I'm done sleeping. But one thing I had noticed is that when I woke up after the 5 hours, I actually felt more awake than when I woke up after the 8 hours. Like those last 3 hours were really tiring. So when I feel tired a lot, my instinct is to get more sleep, right? But somebody mentioned on some board somewhere that they had just decided to get up after the 5 hours or 6 hours and not deal with the rest of the hours. So I tried doing that this week, and I guess I thought I would maybe be more tired during the day, but I have not missed that sleep at all. I feel there was one day when I felt kind of sleepy and I went back to bed for the last 3 hours, but the other bunch of days, so it's been almost a week now, and I only slept 8 hours once, and I've slept about 5 or 6 hours all the other days, and I feel exactly the same. Like, I guess I just didn't need those hours. In fact, getting up 3 hours earlier, I saved 3 hours of things to do time, and I wake up kind of out of my torpor at about the same rate, so then I'm feeling pretty awake At the time that I used to be just getting out of bed, now I've been awake for 3 hours. It's really helping. Um, Angels Don't Fall. Sleep has been so FUCT for me. Yes. So there's something funny about sleep because, 10, 15 years ago, if I was tired, I would sleep and then I'd wake up energized. And it just seems like it's reversed. Like a lot of times I'm pretty awake when I go to sleep, and then when I wake up, it's like I've been through the ringer or something. And the vitamins have helped, but it's still, it's raised my overall level, but I still feel crappy in the morning, especially after those last 2, 3 hours. It's like they're sucking the life force out of me. So, I've been skipping them, and I'm going to keep trying it because it seems like it works. So when you first get up, I don't really feel like it after the first 5 or 6 hours. But then after 8 hours, I still feel like crap anyway, and the only reason I got up is because I was done sleeping. But it just seems like after those 5 hours, I could go back to sleep fairly easily. But then if I get up 3 hours later after that, I'll feel twice as bad. So it's better off to just roll out of bed and, fumble around and wake up faster. It just, I don't know. It doesn't make any logical sense to me at all. I don't get it. Less is more. I don't know, but it's something to consider trying. Plus, you get more hours in the day. You can take the first hour and a half, totally take it easy, and still be ahead an hour and a half. So I heard some YouTuber talking about the time when people used to sleep for a couple of hours, woke up, ate something, and slept again. Yeah, that's been a thing for about the last 5 years, but I never heard of it before that. And frankly, I used to just sleep through the night like a normal human most of my life. So I think that might be a new timeline thing personally. I never once heard of that before. And I didn't know anybody who would wake up after 5 hours like 10 years ago. It just wasn't a thing. So maybe it's a thing now, but I don't trust any of the rationales. Oh, well, that was because blah, blah, blah. I don't trust any of that stuff anymore. The days go so fast, it's catnaps. Yeah, the days are still really fast. They seem like they've maybe slowed a little, plus those extra 3 hours are really helping. But it's not like it was, that's for sure. I wake up wide awake after 4 hours. I have to put on story reading ASMR to fall back asleep. Yeah, you might want to just not do it one day and see how it is. Because I just have this old way of thinking that if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, then I'm going to feel crappy. But at some point, I realized that wasn't really happening. As long as I got that first block of sleep, that seems like the sleep that is very useful. Things are different now. So stuff that you always needed or had to have 10 years ago, you might not need that anymore. And we can get some of our daytime back. Anyway, it might be something to consider. ScienceAlert.com humans. Okay, let's check it out. Since we got nothing better to do anyways, humans used to sleep in 2 shifts and maybe we should do it again. Yeah, it just seems like that second shift is just like sucking the life out of me. Like a giant vampire sucking out my brain during the last 3 hours. So that's one of the reasons I've been skipping it. Around a third of the population have trouble sleeping, including difficulties maintaining sleep throughout the night. Before 2012, there was no problemo. I was good at sleeping, and I slept through the night pretty well almost always. So, I don't know. The days are going by in a flash. I've been saying for a few years now, every other day is Thursday. Yeah, it just gets worse. Or more, or whatever it is. Some people on other channels are still calling me ME the Rapture. I don't know. I think it may be many different things. So what is the Rapture? Okay, so God is supposed to come and like take all the good people, basically. The rapture is an eschatological, theological position held by some Christians, consisting of an end time event when all Christian believers who are alive, along with resurrected believers, will rise in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. The origin of the term extends from Paul the Apostle's first epistle to the Thessalonians in the Bible, in which he uses the Greek word harpazo, meaning to snatch away or to seize, and explains that believers in Jesus will be snatched away from the earth into the air. So basically, it's like it's more like it again. It reminds me of kind of the wheat from the chaff kind of thing. Like the good people are pulled out, they go into the air. I would not be surprised if like something like this happens. May not be exactly how they assume it. Like maybe there'll be an out of body experience where you have some kind of profound epiphany, something like that. But I mean, what is in the air? I mean, we were in the outskirts of the galaxy and now we're in the center of the galaxy. So that's more than just a little bit in the air. So did we get raptured already? I don't know. I don't know what the heck's going on. But frankly, none of this stuff really seems all that weird anymore after the Mandela. The Mandela does like to be sneaky, so I would be a little surprised if anything this blatantly freaky happened. I think it's going to be a little more subtle. Like, you would have thought that if the days got shorter, everybody would lose their kittens, but somehow people just, oh no, that's just, you just think days are shorter. They're not really shorter. You just think they are. So it was subtle enough to be poo-pooed away unless you were paying attention. So I think that it'll probably be something more like that. Well, it's everybody has out of body travels every night. Didn't you know that? It's sleep paralysis or something. It's mass hallucination. That was always like the weirdest lame-o excuse. Like everybody just had a hallucination that was exactly the same. And so you call it mass hallucination, and then that explains anything? Because it sure doesn't. Everybody just all imagined all the same thing. Yeah. How does that happen? Okay, so what is the rapture? All right, after a period of 7 years of tribulation, Christ will return to earth with his church, the saints who were raptured. Blah, blah, blah. There's all the sources. He will be victorious over his enemies and will reign on the earth for 1,000 years, the millennium, with his saints, the church. Now, interestingly enough, the Tartaria theory hypothesizes that perhaps that already happened. 1,000 years are missing or some such or hidden. We've already had that because there's parts in the Bible where it says that there's 1,000 years and then the devil is loosed for a little while and then some more stuff happens and then God comes back and kicks the devil's butt again. So, like I've said before, I don't remember this 2-part butt kicking by God. I remember just one. But so this is why it gets all complicated. I don't know what the heck's going on. But it's like a lot of this stuff are hinting at something that you can almost see happening, but yet it's not totally clear. After 1,000 years, living unbelievers and wicked dead, now raised to life, will be judged at the great white throne judgment, then will be cast into the lake of fire, while the saved live forever with Christ in a new heaven and earth. Okay, so a new heaven and earth. Are we in the middle of this process now? The wheat from the chaff? So I know there's some dispute about when this tribulation will happen, and will everybody have to experience the tribulation, or will some be saved before? And I'm not even going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole, because I don't know. But this version here says the rapture will occur after 7 years of tribulation. So I believe that a lot of the Bible people who are believing in this are thinking we're now in the tribulation. And you look, at a lot of the stuff that's going on, fire and earthquakes and pestilence and all that. I mean, it fits. Now, granted, we've always had that stuff, but it does seem like it's really ramped up. I mean, fires are way more than they ever were before. Hurricanes, tornadoes, all that stuff is like supersized, like just even changing its basic nature and appearance. As far as the latter view is concerned, the rapture will not be secret, since it will be part of Christ's visible and triumphant return to end this present evil age. Interpreters differ as to whether there will be a literal 1,000-year reign of Christ on earth, or whether the white throne judgment and the new earth, heaven and earth, will immediately appear. As Christians do not agree on every detail of what will occur in the final events of this world's history, some of these events and their order of occurrence have simply not been made clear in the Bible. What is important is that all Christians hold in common that Christ will ultimately return bodily, visibly, gloriously, to reign and rule, etc., etc. So, yeah, this is another thing is, there's a lot of things that that are a little vague in the Bible, and so over time it's become assumed that this refers to this and that refers to that, and some of that stuff might just not be interpreted correctly. Like there's a lot of stuff that's in the Bible that people always assume were parables, like if you have faith you can move mountains. So people say, oh, you're not going to really be able to make the Sierras like scoot over, but we've seen the Sierras scoot over, so now it doesn't seem so impossible anymore. So I think a lot of that stuff in there is literal, way more literal than people thought it was. All right, so some people heard of two-shift sleep, some haven't. So for me, it's only been around 5 years or so. So if you've heard of it, think back, when did you hear of it? My friend at work told me life is a lie, made me think. I do feel like it's like a scam. That's kind of how I feel about Earth. Like it's trying to gaslight you. And it's more than ever now. Like the people, like the universe will say one thing and it'll be like the opposite. So if say this is good, a lot of times it's not. I'm doing this for your own good. Really, you're actually doing it for their own good. That kind of thing. Oh yeah, talking about Billy Graham. That guy, he just keeps coming back to life and dying. It's still in the Armageddon stage. So I believe I looked this up before and it said Armageddon really is like, people assume it means like total destruction, but it's like a enlightenment, awakening thing. So, I mean, I don't know if that was always the definition because I never really looked up those like apocalypse and Armageddon. I think Armageddon was a location. Yeah, Armageddon was a location that a final battle is supposed to take place. And then apocalypse was like some kind of awakening thing. So I just always assumed that they all meant like total destruction. But I never looked up before, so I can't say if it's really changed or not. Ernest Borgnine is the other person who keeps changing his death date. Yeah, I just haven't really kept up with that guy. Why such a clean number 1,000? I don't know. You ask the Bible people. I mean, like I said, I don't remember 1,000-year reign of Christ originally. So, then what other ones? Art Bell and Lou Reed, more rebirths. I wonder if transhumanism is the rapture. Um, I do have, I don't know how to say this, but I just have had a lot of weird dreams and stuff that basically said that transhumanism, like doing that is like becoming one. I don't know if anybody watches Doctor Who, but it's like the concept I had in mind was like Cybermen. Like you're don't do it because it's like Cybermen. You seem one way on the outside, but it's artificial. It's forced, and inside your brain you're like screaming, but you've been drugged up, tanked up. It's all hidden under there. So instead of evolving and learning and processing, and which is painful sometimes. I mean, living on Earth is not easy business, but you got to do that in order to grow and learn. And so what this transhumanism, I think, if is like you're blocking growth. You block all this pain, and you have this kind of upgraded body, but at the same time, you don't have the sensitivities of the senses and all that emotion and stuff. That's all part of life and growing, and it's all blocked. So it's like being a zombie, you're kind of alive, but not really. You're trapped in that shell that can't change. And, things really suck sometimes, but if you also get the other side when, the joys and the amazement and those things will also be blocked. That was my feeling of how I saw those. I don't know if you want to call them visions or something, but they were really powerful. And so I'm not doing it basically because of the way I was shown that it's like people who just stay on drugs all the time instead of living life, and I'm not talking about doing an occasional psychedelic trip and then integrating that and learning from it. I mean, just people who do drugs to escape all the time. Escapism. You never really progress if you don't deal with your issues. And so I saw this cyber thing as like that, only like worse, basically. It's like the ultimate zombification. But underneath, you are not, there's like a part of you underneath that's like trapped and miserable. I don't know if you ever saw the episode where they learned the origins of the Cybermen, and you saw they were the first ones being made, and there was ones that would scream like, kill me, kill me, kill me, and then the nurse would come and just like crank up the drug delivery inside the brain, and then they would just and then they would just stop complaining. It was just like, deep inside though, they're still thinking, kill me, kill me. That's how I felt like it. So I ain't doing it. Transhumanism makes me think of Borg. See, what I saw was way worse than that, because like 7 of 9, she was not unhappy when she was a Borg. She just had a kind of a piece of knowing what to do and having all that company in her mind, and she missed it, but the transhumanism, what I saw wasn't like that. It was much worse. You do have to wonder, though, if Star Trek has kind of made it sound a little better than it might be. The Bible tells us about those who wish to die but can't. Maybe that's the transhumanism. Maybe. Actually, that is very interesting, and I just got done saying that I thought that the Bible might be very literal, much more than we thought. It's funny me saying all this because I never really thought of myself as religious. I certainly don't go around wagging my finger at people and saying you're going to hell. But there's a lot of stuff in there that we're seeing is happening, and we see the past can change. So something like an old book predicting the now doesn't even seem that weird to me at all compared to what we've seen anymore. I mean, nothing really does. I guess if aliens landed, that would be maybe a bit more weird, but even then, it's not because you talk about aliens. Maybe aliens will land, and people don't act like you're insane. Um, they just go. They think you're a little kooky, but not like insane. Like you're not schizophrenic. You're just a little esoteric there. So yeah, even that isn't any weirder. And all that's come down because this stuff's happening that these people are like got blinders on and they refuse to see it. That is the weirdest part of all for me, really. Take note of the termination line when the moon rotates. It never used to rotate so much. Didn't rotate at all for me, so. I heard many people talking about violet streetlight around the city. I even saw some pics of it. They say it is maybe to show who got the V and who not. Violet street lights. Okay, let's see. I mean, they pretty much have a record of everybody who got the V, the jib jab. So, they really wouldn't. I mean, if you're not on their list of people who got the jib jab, then they know you didn't get it, pretty much. Because they take all your info. Violet streetlights. Okay. I have noticed there's been a lot of neon colors and stuff, but I don't know. So lately around here, the last few years, they've been these stinky orange lights. I hate those because then it kills all the color and you can't tell what color your car is. I heard the cops hate them too because they can't ID colors on cars. So Walmart had those and then they converted to some white lights in the middle. I think nobody liked them. Supposedly these stinky orange ones save power, but I don't think it's worth it. What the heck is that? Flowers glow under UV. Okay, got it. Look, here we are. Here. We're already full of nanobots. Well, probably nanoparticles, certainly. They have in a lot of food now, like M&Ms have it. If you look up a list, there's like a list. For some reason, I just remember M&Ms because I really like M&Ms, and now I don't want to eat them because they all have freaking nanoparticles in them. And they're not required to list nanoparticles on the package ingredients, so you have to look them up on the Google. Yeah, I have not taken the jib jab. And I won't. But I said before I tested positive for antibodies in May. I think I mentioned that. So I've technically already had it. As far as I know, I mean, according to their science, I have had it. I'm not sure when. I was taking the Ivor, can't say the end of that name. So that might have had something to do with me not really noticing. Here are some purple streetlights. Okay, let's check it out. I don't think I've seen these. Here is why purple. Oh, that's weird. It's kind of pretty. It's better than those stinky orange ones. North Carolina. You may have noticed some strange lights emitting from streetlights. It looks like a big porn show. Every time I see neon purple, I think, oh, it's like some kind of strip club. There's a perfectly reasonable explanation. Duke Energy told WSOC that the purple lights are caused by a manufactured defect in some of the LED lights they installed around the state. While initially the lights were the typical white glow, over time they turned purple. All right, that sounds like a big load of hooey. A giant, massive load of hooey, if ever I've heard of it. Though the lights may be harmless, Duke Energy has told its crews to be on the lookout and asks that anyone who sees a purple light report it to the company here. From there, they will work to quickly repair or replace the lights. Yeah, right. You know, if a light is burnt out, it takes them like 8 months to replace it, if that. They're going to be rushing out replacing these purple lights. Not. If you see a purple haze coming from some streetlights on your next late night drive, there is no need to worry. To put it simply, there is no safety issues with the lights and they continue to work. They are just purple. Okay, so this whole thing, this is ridiculous here. Look at how purple that is. All right, so since the 90s, there's something weird with my eyes that when I look at lights at night, I see a purple haze around them a lot. And I don't know what it is. I wondered if I'm seeing a little into the UV spectrum sometimes, maybe, when the rest of the lights are low and more, my eyes are more open. Maybe, I don't know what's going on, but I call it purple vision, basically. It seems like it's totally useless. I don't get any added information from it. It's very beautiful color, like this. So when you said that about the purple streetlights, I'm like, So now when they're describing this purple haze business, I do find that very interesting. Although this is more extreme than what I see. And I looked that up a couple, like, even maybe 8 years ago, 10 years ago, and I saw that other people also experienced it, but there was no explanation for it. I might want to start digging around and see if there's anything. My eye system is funky, so I did find it interesting to find others who also saw it. My fixture light was not working. Janitor came to fix 6 were LED. The rest of them were changed to halogen. Yeah, I don't know. There's something. I really think there's something going on. I don't think that's all just defective LEDs. I think that they're shifting into the world. The reality is shifting into the usage of those for something. I don't know. That is interesting, though, because I feel like that's a really lame excuse that stinks of Mandela. So just keep your eyes open. It does feel like a purgatory, like God put us here. Yeah, it's not like hell. Like I say, it can't be hell if there's still ice cream. But it's definitely been hard, and I think we're being tested. And what are we being tested on? I think in the end it's going to be keeping the positive humanity, love, caring, try to avoid the fear, hate, revenge, try to keep your humanity. No matter what, if the person disagrees with you on a lot of stuff, the jib jab, whatever, they're still humans, and try not to go that route is all. That's all I feel confident about right now. Other than that, I don't know. You can feel when something is hatred, anger, those things. Don't go that way. I think that's how the devil tricks you into those angry, hateful, self-righteous, arrogant, judgmental, that kind of thing. That is work of the devil, I think. Yes, I take the mech. 10, 2. Yes. Well, I stopped now because I tested positive for antibodies in May. So I don't really see. I should have natural immunity, and which is so far research is showing that it's quite robust. So I've got my backup treatments ready to roll in case anything happens, but I should be good. I mean, if I had it once and I wasn't that sick, then I got antibodies too. Then the next time should, if there is ever one, should not be a thing. I often wonder how many people would test positive if they got the antibody tests, because me and one other person did the antibody test, and both both of us came back positive for antibodies. So 2 out of 2. So, how many people are positive for antibodies? There's not many people testing. It's all taken to extremes. Nothing surprises me. I won't go that far, but stuff surprised me a lot less than it used to. I mean, I'm getting used to it. Not 100%. I still think that'll... if aliens landed, even though we've been talking about it, I'd still be surprised. If God came down in the clouds in a chariot of fire, I'd still be surprised. Even though I'm talking about it, I'd still be surprised. I still got a lot of room for surprise in there. I always thought the nanobots would be in the chemtrails. Yeah, they could just stick them right in you. Of course, if they wanted nanobots in us, they could just put it in the food, too. So, I don't know what's all. I wonder if it's part of the storyline, You have to accept it. You have to make the choice. So, if they just put it in your food and you had no idea, then you didn't choose it. You didn't bring it on yourself. So maybe that's the difference. I don't know, but it just feels like there's a limit to what can be done to you without some kind of scamming of your mind and manipulation. Nano and M&Ms. Yeah, there's nanoparticles. So here we go. Nano. I'll just do list of foods with. So there is no rule that they have to list it. And they're assuming that nanoparticles have the same properties as their macro parts. And that's like in macro state. And that's already been proven not to be the case. But basically, like if you can have titanium, which is like a food colorant, then you can just say it's titanium. You don't have to say it's nano titanium. And if I recall correctly, it was actually nano particles of titanium. That was what M&M's was using. I'm going to just look at it here. I don't, every time I look at those M&M's, I'm like, what do they need to put that in there for? They were perfectly fine. What is it adding to the story? That's why I don't get it. They're not, why is you putting... M&Ms aren't white, so what do you need titanium for? They've got the colored plastic shell or flavored shell. It was fine. Oh, that video's gone. Speaking of the devil, oh boy, the censorship. So, a bunch of stuff on Reddit just got banned. Quarantined. If any of you guys ever read Reddit, it's going like Facebook now. It's funny because last week they posted this thing how they wanted to be sure to allow dissent and not excessive censorship on Reddit. So a lot of us are like, oh good, they're not going to get all censor happy in the near future. And then like a week later, they just banned a bunch of subs. And one of them was called No New Normal. And they said, they just basically trumped up a thing. They said that No New Normal was brigading other subs. And the definition of brigading is when you make a plan to specifically go and attack another group or a singular person. And NNN, No New Normal, heretofore referred to as NNN, NNN never did any of that. In fact, the mods were very careful to make sure that everybody knew that was uncool, would not be tolerated, blah, blah, blah. And in order to do brigading, you have to rally your people. Oh, let's all go and attack over here. NNN never did that. They hunted and hunted for evidence of it, but we never did that. What they did say was that they saw that people who post on NNN post on other subreddits all through Reddit, and that they post a lot of the same content. I'm like, well, isn't that what everybody does on Reddit? I mean, like, you have an opinion, and when you go to different places on Reddit, you talk about your opinion. That's not brigading. That's just those people flapping their lip about their opinion. So they're now calling that brigading, which is complete horse hockey because that's not the definition of brigading. So that seems to be the new censorship rule, is that they just redefine something conveniently, then say you're doing it, and then use that as an excuse to do whatever they want. But anyway, it was ridiculous. There was like, oh, so many people on that sub, and it was growing so fast, and maybe that's why they hated it so much. So just so you know, if you're interested in chit-chatting about NNN type materials, there's no new normal .win. And if you like the Reddit sub, this one is actually way more busy than the Reddit sub. I think that, I don't know if there's more people on here or what, but you can see it's extremely active. You can hear what's all the latest is. There's way more upvoting and stuff, so I don't know if the votes were suppressed, maybe artificially suppressed on Reddit, because now I'm looking and, you know, there's just so many more upvotes. And this thing, it's like the communities.win. They don't have a lot of subs on here, and you can't make your own yet. They're talking about it in the future. And, you know, certainly like anywhere, there's some that is not my bag of chips, but communities.win, I don't think that's it, is it? There. Now we should be getting there, right? No. All right. I don't know how to get there other than no new normal.win, but somewhere in here, oh, you can go up here. Like, you can see that. You can go here and click on communities, and they're it's kind of a proto embryo type of Reddit, but without all the censorship. Kind of like how Reddit used to be. So they do have some pretty good traffic, though. So I just wanted to bring that one up. So if you want to talk about that kind of thing, you can go there without censorship. I mean, you can't say you're going to go kill somebody or something. There's like, you're not allowed to break the law or anything. There's limits, but it's all very reasonable. All right, so purple streetlights. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Nanoparticles. Did I ever get to it? I'm just going to write M&Ms. And where's the and button? There? No. Can't see in the dark. There. M&Ms. And apparently they admitted to it. Oh yeah, Pop-Tarts was another one. I don't eat Pop-Tarts. Those things are foul. Nanoparticles found in M&Ms, Pop-Tarts. There was a bunch of other stuff, but M&Ms were the one I ate, so that's why it like stuck in my head. So yeah, they can put those in. There was other stuff too. They can put those in anywhere they want, and they don't got to tell ya. Always heartwarming, isn't it? I think when was it like in the 90s when some guy I knew, we were driving by something. He goes, you know what that purple neon light means? I go, no, what? He goes, that means it's a strip club. And I'm like, really? And I had no idea. So ever since then, every time I saw one, I would check it. And he was right for like 20 years. But now they're everywhere. I'm seeing these purple neon lights like on like regular hotels, not like crappy hotels, businesses, all kinds of stuff. Pop-Tarts are foul, I agree. Sick of sugary food. I don't even know what I call Pop-Tarts. You know, I thought they would be sugary, but they just taste like sawdust mixed with dough. They don't even taste sweet, really. They just taste like, they're just foul. I mean, I wouldn't say foul. I would eat them. I'm not going to throw up, but I was shocked at how completely uninteresting and dull and tired they were. I have not tried the brown sugar ones. But I like brown sugar. I think I would just eat the brown sugar and scrape off the Pop-Tart. I'm just eating fruits and one meal a day. Yeah, one meal a day works pretty good and like a snack. I think because the days are so short, we've got this ton of intestines now. Poplars are cardboard coated with melted crayons. I don't know what poplars are, but they Pop Tarts. I assume you mean, yeah. Spell check. You gotta love it. Poplars. They do taste like wood. Yeah, they're cardboardy. They're like soggy cardboard or something. What the heck is Cenomix? Cenomix. I don't know. Cenomix. Look, I've got no Mandelas, so I'm just talking about like everything today. Sorry, guys. An American biotech company developed food additives. The company claimed to have reverse engineered human taste and aroma receptors. Okay, so they make flavors, artificial flavors, I would assume. The West. So I'm assuming what they're doing is they're just looking for chemicals that trigger certain tastes on your tongue and in your nose. So that you don't, if they could make a chemical that tastes like strawberry instead of having to put actual strawberry in there. I've read a lot of things over the year where they were trying to hack or figure out the system of how your nose decides how things smell. Like what, they were even saying they thought it was a quantum vibration thing that would have to do with the shapes of the molecules, but then that didn't turn out to be right because one molecule that was very similar to another would have a totally different flavor. But then they figured out that if it was more like a vibration, and sometimes if you change the molecule just a tad, it totally changed the vibration, whereas sometimes molecules that look really different had the same vibration, and they felt that those ones that the vibration told the flavor. So they would just have to find that vibration, and then they could look at every other molecule had the same vibration and expect it to taste the same. I don't know if that's true in this timeline anymore, or if it panned out or what, but that's how it was at one time. I will ask the aliens to take me to a better place. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they got another Earth because this place is freaky, but I don't know if I really want to live on the alien planet either. I guess it depends on how good it is, but I mean, they're not going to understand your culture. Are you going to be able to have a good joke over a movie in alien land? It could be kind of depressing also. Pop-Tarts were made different in the early 70s. Could be. You know, my mother never got those for whatever reason. I think she thought they were too expensive, or so we only could have toast. We could not have Pop-Tarts. So I didn't eat them for a really long time until maybe a couple years ago I tried them. Is Cinemax made from aborted baby cells? Okay, now my understanding with that, if you can trust anything, but it seems like it's right. Oh, okay, yes, now I do remember. Cenomix, what they did was they used cells made from the abortal, like, tissue line to make, like, these taste buds out of, like, human cells. And they would use the taste buds to test their product on. So they were using them in testing, basically, these basic cells. They weren't using them in the product. The product would just be chemicals, not cells, but they were using them. But they weren't eating babies. It was basically cloned cells. With the nitrogen dominating the air in this place, eating it has affected all food. Yeah, well, you know, we're different too, though, so I do think that we adapted and altered with the nitrogen. So, but yeah, there's weird stuff. I don't know. I really do think, you know, Dolores Cannon said that we would evolve towards not needing food anymore, but it would be very gradual. I think we're heading that route. That is my best guess, that we're heading towards that. So, you need less food, you have less interest in it, and slowly you just kind of, you know, oh, I don't need to eat that much anyway. Maybe, oh, wait, we'll just take more vitamins and eat less food. So when packaging says no artificial flavors, all natural flavorings or some such, are they talking about Cenomix? There's a whole bunch of companies that make natural flavoring. So artificial flavoring means just that there's chemicals. Natural flavoring means that they took that the flavoring came from a natural source. Now, it might have gone through like 10 chemical processes from start to finish and really not be natural at all, hardly. But if it started with a natural source, they can call it natural flavoring. So maybe they took crushed spiders and then they boiled them in hydrogen peroxide and then they put them through a magnetron and then they turned them into ash and then they put bleach on them. I mean, I'm just making stuff up to be silly, and then they squeezed them in a centrifuge and then what was left had a certain flavor and they added it to your cinnamon toast. Okay, so that would be a natural flavor. Okay, but if they just took like a chemical that never was natural and it happened to taste like cinnamon, then that's artificial flavor. So there's been a lot of argument by industry experts that natural flavors are often even less safe than artificial flavors because they've gone through so much processing that they'll often have a lot of trace chemicals left over from each stage and that kind of thing. Whereas with the chemical ones, they can just use the chemical. Plus, the natural flavors often are so heavily processed, your body's never going to recognize that as natural anyways. So if they mean natural flavoring, no, they didn't just squeeze up strawberries and throw them in there. They're most of the time very heavily processed. Pop-Tarts are definitely not as full. They have minimal filling. Yeah, it just seemed like it was just kind of like, I don't know. I was really shocked. I really was shocked at how bad they were. So I had flown into this city late at night and all the restaurants were closed. It was like midnight and I was hungry. So I'm like, I'll just get these Pop-Tarts out of the vending machine. They look like the healthiest thing in there. And I was just shocked at how bad they were. And I'm like, I'll put it in the microwave and maybe it'll taste better. No, it tasted exactly the same hideousness out of the all heated up. I'm like, a lot of times heat will save something, but it didn't do a thing for those. Yeah, that's one of the reasons a lot of times, like if you go to Mexico, now their sweets kind of suck because they're too stingy to put chocolate and vanilla and sugar in it, so it tends to taste cardboardy. But some of their other foods are quite good, and one of the reasons is because they just put real ingredients in it. So, like sriracha, that famous sauce. If you look at the ingredients, that guy was from Vietnam, and he just put all his Vietnamese ingredients in. So he just put like chili and sugar and vinegar, and there's just like 8 ingredients, and then they just smash it all up and put it into the container, and it's delicious because it's all regular foods. Then this competitor came along and tried to beat out the sriracha market, and they had like a laundry list of chemicals this long. It wasn't very good. They charged more. Those guys like failed because Sriracha had already taken over the market with their tasty stuff. Yeah, if you've ever had any blood testing done, they'll tell you what. Also, if you give blood, if you donate blood, they'll tell you what blood you are. So that's the free way to get your blood type. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. All right. This is kind of a small one, but if any of you guys, like Americans, ever watched the Brady Bunch, there's a bunch of us who never. Now, I'm not saying this show was very good, but you got to realize back in the 70s, there wasn't a lot of channels, there wasn't a lot of movies, there was like one cable channel, HBO, um, and it just had movies mostly. So even though I didn't really like Brady Bunch, I mean, that was what was on at 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock when I got back from school, and there wasn't a lot else on. So you just watched them. You know, even though you already seen them like 5 times, you watch it. You either watch it or you go back outside. Maybe sometimes you do go back outside, but if you're gonna sit in the house, you gotta watch something. You didn't have any video games. There were no computers. There was no internet. There was nothing. So you watch Brady Bunch. So I saw all of those freaking things like 20 times. I mean, it was like, oh, this one, and then this happened. The minute it starts, the first scene, you already, oh, we're this is the show. When blah blah happens. This is the one where they almost have to get rid of their dog. This is the one where they went to Hawaii and got a curse, and you know, all this stuff. So I was pretty shocked when apparently there was this new, for me, character named Cousin Oliver was in 6 of the ending episodes. Now I'm sorry, but just because, oh well, those were at the end when it wasn't popular. That thing was in runs for like ever, for years and years. So all of them got played over and over. Not, you know, it wasn't like at the end no. This was not a character I ever heard of, Cousin Oliver. And I don't care if it was only 6 episodes. I saw every freaking episode a cajillion and 11 times. Cousin Oliver. And it's even a syndrome. Cousin Oliver syndrome is a movie trope that they bring in somebody new to try to liven up the show. So I guess this Cousin Oliver was supposed to be, you know, that strategy of bringing in somebody new to liven up the show is called Cousin Oliver syndrome now. So here's another thing. This kid is kind of creepy looking. The Mandela loves to bring in creepy people. I mean, it's not a normal looking kid. And I don't think it's a kid you're going to forget if you saw, especially back then when people usually weren't creepy looking. This kid was just a little weird looking. It's just not a lot. So this kid was in 6 episodes. And the storyline was that he, for some reason, had to come to live with the family. So he lived with, you know, in with the whole family, and he caused a lot of problems, like screwing stuff up. And if you watch the episodes, like it doesn't even make sense, because he'll somehow be near, and then everything will go falling down, and you're like, what? He didn't blow up like a bomb, so how come, you know, it just, even as a kid, I'd be like, what? How did that happen? I mean, it's just so cheesemeister. I don't know if you guys ever saw this kid in any of the shows, but it's just not right. Okay, so here he is in his bathrobe. I mean, I don't blame the kid for the shows being horrible. The writing, I just saw some clips of when he was in it, and it's not his fault. It's just the writing was stupid. I don't think this little beastie kid was in there. Of course, he's all grown up now, but here they are playing board games. Was he in this one? Yeah, let's see. Oh, I don't. Oh, and there. See, I mean, what? Do you guys remember this character at all? Don't donate blood. They make big money off it and is involved with adrenochrome. Well, you know, I wanted free antibody testing, so I got what I wanted out of it. Yeah, I am also A positive. Speaking of blood types. So my mom swore I was type O her whole life. I wrote type O on every form. Then when I gave blood, they said, no, you're type A positive. So imagine my surprise. I wanted to argue with them, like, no, I'm not. I'm O. She's like, no, you're A positive. Okay. And then it occurs to me, though, that my mom was a giant airhead. So she may have gotten it wrong. So I really, if you knew my mom, she was a type O. And I could see her screwing that up. So I can't really say for sure if I really changed or not. I will never know. Monty Hendricks is in. Welcome. DNA in this reality has a new bracket thing that wasn't there before. DNA. Now, I did cover a while ago that there's such a thing as double-stranded DNA in certain parts of the body. It's just like here and there was what they were saying, but I do feel that there wasn't before. Okay, the bracket thing. Now these cross pieces were here for me. If you're talking about these things, I had those. Now this line going down the middle, I've never seen. Is that really in there, this line thingy? See, these don't have it. There's no line thingies. This one's like implied line thingies. Also, this shape I think is rather new, where it looks like a little offset. See how it is here? I didn't used to see it. It used to look like this, not like that. I felt, when did I first see that? Maybe last year with the offset look. This looks right from what I remember. So I thought that had shifted a little. I think that might have been what prompted me to check the double-stranded. Was it not double-stranded? It was, what do you call that? It was like doubled, triple-stranded. Yeah, triple-stranded is the weird one. Double-stranded is the normal one. So there was some triple-stranded DNA in some parts of the body. Sorry. Okay, most of them don't have that line, though, so I'm not sure. Am I getting it right? Are you talking about that line thingy? Yeah, the Munsters, I used to watch that one. That one wasn't on as much. Gilligan's Island, yeah, watch that. I didn't really like it, but again, there wasn't much on, so. All right, let me see if I can hunt down that one that had the funky line and see. What is this mess? Scientists confirm weird knot-shaped DNA structure in human cells for the first time. Oh, what a mess this looks like. A DNA, Z DNA. What is this mess? Triplex DNA, I motif, and G quadruplex DNA. What? It just looks so bad. It looks like a crime. All right, we're gonna have to go over here and see what this baloney is. This looks. Forget the double helix for a second. There are other more interesting DNA structures out there. Yes, they're familiar with you're familiar with the famous double helix structure of DNA, but that's not the only structure there is. So all of those cruciform DNA, cruciform, really. They have only been seen in the lab so far. However, now in a breakthrough research, scientists report seeing for the first time so-called intercalated or eye motif DNA in human cells. Previously, this rare DNA structure is only witnessed in vitro, which means in the petri dish, rather than in live cells. Eye motif. Oh, that does not look like a real photo. Artist impression, yes. Okay, so we have all this mess now, supposedly, in there. I don't know what to say. I really don't. That's a mess. So this is the triple. I read about it, but I had not seen an image of the triplex DNA. God, what a mess. It really feels like you should be dead if you had that DNA. This is so wrong. All right, get rid of the purples. Quantum Businessmen had a whole thing on the Gilligan's Island cast members all being green-eyed except for Mr. Millionaire. I am not really observant about eye color, so I'm not good on that one. I do feel that the clothing colors changed, and that has been covered on a lot of shows a couple years ago. Believe us because we're showing you CGI. Dang it. Yeah, who the heck knows? You know, I don't know. So yeah, it looks like it's all artist rendition. I'm not seeing any actual images. Of course, those photos can be faked easily nowadays anyway. Pugsley Lovejoy is in. The Groovy Ghoulies. I've never heard of that one. Sorry. I'm just adding that DNA thing in since it came up. Artastic remembers a character like that kid, but in a different show. Preliminal seems pretty confused. Yes, they said 6 episodes. Preliminary one was 1 episode. There was another character that showed up was the Young Ones. I'm pretty sure that was it. The Young Ones had an extra weird character that showed up like 5 years ago. People noticed it, and it was this weird like Cousin It type creature. It was like just nothing but hair, like a person with big long hair, and was in the corner or under the table. Just it never said anything, and it was just there. And that showed us. So that was creepy. It seems like these new ones are like creepy. DNA after the jib jab. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I was thinking it, but you said it. Of course, we're all just kidding. It's just a joke. Ha ha ha. Yes, the person with all the hair hanging down in front of the face for the young ones. Yes, that was it. I don't think it had a name or anything. I mean, it looked like a dude, but I mean, you couldn't tell for sure. So that was then we had that new there's a new Jackson 5 and new Jackson Brothers, and there was that there was the new YMCA guy. And so, yeah, people are showing up. I don't know where they're coming from. And they're often sort of just, they're just a little different. You know, they're just like, like the soldier guy. It's like, you know, it's, all the other guys are sort of positive force. And then you have, I don't know, it just, there's just something different about the new ones. Okay, got that. All right, this one was brought in by, so, let's see. Okay, Cousin Oliver Syndrome was from Redcon, and it was character Mesa Voida. Character. Username Mesa Voida. MESAVOIDA. So, good find. That Norge airship thing was Thomas Larson. Now we're moving on to Mark Tyus. Just suggest this one. I just saw it early today. Maybe a few hours ago even, and I didn't even really look on it. So we're all going to check it out together. But these things are ridiculous. I took a quick glance, but I haven't looked at the wiki or anything. So apparently there's a sword whip combo now. The Urumi is a sword with a flexible whip-like blade originating from the Indian subcontinent Tamilakam, modern-day Kerala. Ooh, so Kerala, I think, is where that red blood rain came down, too, in Kerala. Tamil Nadu and Sri Lanka. It is thought to have existed from as early as the Sangam period. It is treated as a steel whip and therefore requires prior knowledge of the weapon as well as the sword. So let's take some ganders at these things. So it's a combo whip sword? I mean, have you ever heard of such a thing? So these are all blades, I guess. I mean, I guess you could cut yourself pretty easily. I mean, check that business out. Is that the origin of the pom-poms? I mean, they even had metal like that in those days. Whip swords. Alright, so here's some kind of cartoon character with them. Now, I think if I saw that, I would just assume it was some fantasy that the person who drew the character invented. I wouldn't think it's real. Just like I didn't think Pokemon were real. But yeah, so now look, there's millions of these freaking things in cartoons. Of course. Of course there is. Alright, I'm wondering if this guy's gonna... Is he gonna flail these suckers? I'm just gonna jump forward. I don't want to play the whole thing. Are we gonna get them in action? Alright, there's something sticking out. No, he's just whipping himself. Alright, so he doesn't know what he's doing. That doesn't help any. Is there any... Do you think that there'd be some video of this thing in action? I mean, if it's been around all these cajillion years. Okay, maybe this guy? No, I don't think that's a video. Let's go to... Wait. Here. Now, that's just like one big long strip, though. Videos. Let's try videos. One of these should do it. Maybe this one. Turn off all that racket. You can't really see it. It's flailing so fast. Oh, look, he jumped. So that looks like it's just one. It's one piece. It's not like a giant bunch of the things. This guy, on the other hand, has multiples. Oh, no, that's the same guy? All right, so this one, on the other hand, has a clickbait photo at the front. All right, let's check this one out. Now, that really looks like you could screw up and hurt yourself. Okay, so I don't know. My great grandfather was an Urumi expert. Equipped with this, he actually traveled to Malaya from Kerala by foot. Took him 3 years. His only protection was Urumi. Okay, whatever. I don't know. I mean, I can't swear this is a Mandela, but it's pretty darn weird. Dangerous pom-poms. Yep. Yeah, the village people are now 6, and I believe that was the soldier. That was the new one. Yeah, see that creature that showed up on the young ones that was just in the corners. And I saw another character show up in a video that a music video I used to watch all the time, and it just a new person, and she was like this zombie drummer person in the way back. I mean, it was just really just like weird. Yeah, the blade whip and the boomerang axe. You got to have some cojones to want to catch that boomerang axe when it comes back. I mean, seriously. Oh yeah, the sword guns, the spear guns, the everything guns. Yeah, I know. It's just like some corny TV show, like Get Smart, where, you have a gun in your shoe and a gun in your pen. I'd smack myself with the whip sword. Frankly, I feel like everybody would smack themselves. Maybe some of these experts are so good they could be good at anything, but it just seems like if the person moved wrong when you flailed that, it's going to bounce back and get you. And they didn't have like hospitals that could just sew you up and all that. So making a mistake was a lot more of an issue in the old days. That's the other thing. Okay. All right, I only have one more. See, I've managed to speak an hour and a half on almost nothing. Sorry, guys. If it's good or bad, but you're stuck with it. I just saw this earlier. Colossi of Memnon. I've never heard of it. I've heard of colossi in historical accounts, but they didn't still exist. And I've heard of Memnon, but I have not heard of Colossi of Memnon. So these are these giant statues in Egypt. Now they're pretty broken down right now, but keep an eye on these little chiclets, because I'm thinking maybe they will develop over time. So you see they're quite big, but they're pretty degraded. Are we gonna... But I don't think they were here before, and the stuff that wasn't here before usually... So first you'd see this, you go, oh, well, it's pretty broken down. That's probably why they don't take a lot of photos of it. And you slowly get used to it, and then it just gets a little better, and a little better, and a little better. Boy, it looks like there's another one back here, too. Colossi of Memnon. Just going to click on this. I think... The singing. Okay, so the story was something about how they broke, and then they would sing every time it was hot for a long time, and it was thought that the water escaping from the broken regions was causing the singing. I heard some kind of story about that. I think the coyotes are going crazy outside. I'm just going to take a real quick peek outside to make sure that's coyotes. I'll be right back. Well, of course, it stops by the time I get there, so I still don't know. Colossi of Memnon is a popular attraction of Egypt from Greco-Roman times until now. It has not lost its fame. These remarkable ancient statues, Colossi of Memnon, are located in the Theban necropolis at the modern city of Luxor, Egypt. I've never heard of them. Oh, so there's more than two. The statues are covering an area of 350,000 meters squared and is considered as the worship assembly of Amenhotep III as god during his period of ruling and after his death, containing many smaller stone statues of mysterious people. These statues have persevered for 3,400 years and were an acoustic wonder of the ancient world. The Colossi of Memnon, which are also known as El Colossa or El Salama, these monumental statues are symbolizing Amenhotep III. They are 18 meters high and weigh 720 tons each and are carved from a single block of sandstone. Why statues are known as vocal Memnon. The reason behind these names is the mythological link between the statues and several Greek myths. Centuries ago, it was believed that the high-pitched noise originating from the Colossi was the sound of a mother Eos who was crying for her son Memnon. They are so named because there really was a time when, on some days at sunrise, from one of the statues, high-pitched sound arose. Then Greeks and Romans have attached to the singing to the Eos who was... Okay, so they're saying way in the past, one of them would sing at sunrise. I've never heard of it, and I'm just wondering if this story is going to continue to develop. So now it was way in the past that it sung. Maybe in 6 months we'll hear sometimes it sings even today. Something like that. We'll just see, but I'm kind of thinking maybe. Grand Mortuary Complex. Many researchers and scientists showed that the cause of the sound was due to a rise in heat and moisture due to the desert area of Egypt. The confirmation on this aroused when a Roman emperor, Septimius Severus, repaired the damage caused by the earthquake in the 1st or 2nd century, and thus the sound disappeared. Anyway, I've just never heard of these things. So I guess they're saying there's, what, 2 big ones and some smaller ones? Well, see, like, there's these ones all broken down. And then, is this how they were supposed to have looked before? going to dig up a couple more photos. But all I see now are these broken down ones. For now. See, there's little ones back here, and with the perspective you can't see the size. So these could start out as small and then get bigger and bigger, which it seems like whenever I see one of these weird photos with really weird perspective and you can't tell the size, over time one of those things grows. First you're given the photo where you can't really judge size, and they'll say that the thing in the back was 3 feet. Then they'll say the thing in the back was 4 feet. Then they'll say the thing... It just seems like one of the strategies that the Mandela uses to get people used to this stuff. Okay, so they're saying maybe this was how they used to look. So one of the weird things is all of these photos of how they used to look show these extra little statues stuck on the throne, but I don't see those little statues on these so much. So what, they fell off in the earthquake, or what? It's almost like these stones haven't grown to match the image that was drawn of them yet. Okay, I can see it on this one, but it looks pretty tiny and wedged in there compared to the artistic representations. Anyways, another one for me. And that one's all I really have, unless you guys have something. I literally clobbered myself in the head with my own fist while pruning today, twice. I'm laughing again, it hurt. We have this thing at work where we get these puffer fish, and they're all stuffed with stuffing to puff them out. And then we make lamps out of them. So to make the lamp, we have to drill a hole in the top and take all the stuffing out. And so you're trying to take a bunch of stuffing out of a small hole, because we can't make the hole bigger than the socket goes in. So you get these pliers and you got to pull out the stuffing. Well, my assistant one day was pulling out the stuffing, and the stuffing suddenly let loose, and he punched himself in the face. So, of course, I come up the stairs right after it happened, and he just really looked, you know, there was something wrong. And I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Are you okay? He's like, I'm fine. And I'm like, no, really? You're not fine. What's wrong? And he didn't want to tell me that he punched himself in the face. But he had to, and then he kind of just decided, you know, there's no sense hiding it. And then he started telling me, and he started laughing. So from now on, every time I have to remove stuffing out of the puffer fish, one of my rules is to pull it away from your face. To ever pull it towards your face. Your own fist is a weapon, you know. So yeah, I don't know. The coyotes were going a little crazy out there. There's a new dance craze called the Shifty Statue Shuffle. I don't know if you're serious or just talking about Doctor Who. I really can't tell anymore. If home flies became more aggressive. I don't know. I haven't had a lot of flies. Nobody has any livestock near here, and we're out in the country. And flies like garbage, so we don't get many flies anymore. Not like those big horse flies. I do feel like they've changed, though. They used to be black, and now they're kind of like a greenish gray color. Mostly gray with a hint of green. Pufferfish were dangerous. So in the wilds, they supposedly have these poison sacs that if you touch the spines, they'll inject poison in you. But once they're dried and shipped, there's no poison in them. So even if you stab yourself on the spines, it's just like an ordinary poke. There's no danger. Yeah, you know, after that Doctor Who thing with the weeping angel statues, it's not exactly heartwarming to see these statues moving and changing shape, is it? You should look up Dr. Royal Rife. He's kind of a Mandela for me. Okay, so he made that Rife machine. I think I heard of that about 5 or 6 years ago, and it's supposed to work by some kind of electronic currents that changes. It changes. I'm not exactly sure something in you to heal disease. I don't know how effective it is. It may be that as we go along, it will become like fact that it is effective. I'm not sure we're there yet. Yeah, there are many, many really ridiculously large statues now. And some of them they'll say, oh, this was built 10 years ago. Keep your eye on those because I think they're sneaking back in time. I've seen so many of these things sneak back in time. First, it was, oh, this was just built in 2013. That's why you didn't know. But then, oh, this was just built in 2009. That's why you didn't know. Then it was just built in 2007. And the next thing you know, it was built when you were born. Well, what? But you've been. It seems like once people hear about things for about 2 years, it kind of locks in their mind that they knew about this and it was pre-existing. So you really got to watch, like, when did you first hear about it? Were you a child or was it just a couple years ago? Seems like there are a lot of these ancient structures which produce sound or music. Yeah, nowadays there weren't any for me like 15 years ago that I can think of. Flies keep landing on me. They seem more bold. Yeah, I just don't have enough flies anymore to really. It does seem like a lot of insects are a lot faster than they used to be. Everything is Royal Rife. Everything is frequencies. Rife is awesome. The Spooky 2 with plasma and biofeedback is what I want. You know, I think we might be heading into something like that. So I'm starting to pretty much accept that, you know, just because something was true 10 years ago, it may not be now. And that's going to hold for cellular structure, best ways to heal, medications, all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of see how we might be building up to a point where we drop the old structures of treatments and how people become repaired and our assumptions about those things and come to one that would be more natural, more empowering than it has been before. And if you look at how things are setting up now, they are setting up for a potential fall in trust in large organizations that are now trusted by many. They put all of their they put all their apples in one basket, and if that basket springs a hole, they're not going to have much left. So, I mean, I don't want to be real specific because, you know, YouTube gets a little cagey, but there's routes that this could go that could be long term quite good. So we just try to get to those good timelines. That's my plan. I hope you guys are all coming with me. He was very similar to Tesla in that work was confiscated. Yeah, it's an interesting storyline. So you have to have a reason why we're not using it today. If they invented it back then you have to say it's confiscated or something. But if it just seems like this stuff is going back in time. I don't know for sure. You know, I've only heard of Rife, you know, not that far back. So it might be. I don't really. I'm trying to think. You know, it'd be tricky to do testing on that because, I guess you could like cut yourself and then see how fast it heals with it or something, versus unrifed healings, something like that. I feel like I need to test it. Oh, the Rife things are illegal in the USA? Huh, that's weird. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, so it's David. Okay, David Tennant. It has an A. Does it really? I don't remember an A in David Tennant actually. David, what? Spell it right. Tennant. Which looks right. That does not look right. Huh. I could do maybe the A. No, that doesn't look right either. Yeah, I don't know. That one, I would have said it was Tenent, but now it's Tannant. I wouldn't swear on that one, but it does not look like what I remember. Rife is nemesis to Biofarm, or Big Farm. Yeah, yeah, exactly. We're getting so many storylines like that. So what if the power structure? What if the power structure that has the power now were to do something that would betray the trust of many? Then people would pivot to other options. So the power structure could change rather rapidly if certain dominoes were to fall in certain directions. Somebody would have to change, something would have to change people's minds on a mass scale. And one thing that's happening right now, if it should not pan out like they all are saying it's supposed to, if everybody should suddenly finally be unable to admit anything other than it is not doing what they said and it is not like they said, that would basically just ruin, it would ruin trust on a level we've never seen before. And if you want to talk about that more, it's NNN. So no new normal dot WIN. When you feel like you gotta talk to somebody, that is like a really busy. I've actually shocked at how much traffic is on there because I thought that the Reddit one was really busy, but that one's like 3 times more busy. Okay, since when is it? Yeah, Tennant. It doesn't look right. I know. I know. So let's just look at this Royal Rife thing. So I don't really know if this is a Mandela or what. I have not really heard of him until maybe the last 10 years. And just lately it's gotten really popular. So maybe it's time for stuff like this to kind of rise up to the top. 1888 to 1971 was an American inventor and early exponent of high magnification time-lapse sign micrography. Best known for acclaimed beam ray invention during the 1930s, which he thought could treat some diseases by devitalizing diseased organisms through vibration. The technology he described is now classified as a type of radionics device, which has been rejected as an effective medical treatment. Years after his death, devices that professed to use Rife's processes were marketed, manufactured, and sold in several countries as a cure for cancer, AIDS, and other conditions. Many patients died after using these discredited devices, including persons that could have survived using conventional beneficial therapies, blah, 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 blah. Of course, they might have died anyway if they had used beneficial therapies. You just never know. He made several optical compound microscopes and using a movie camera took time-lapse microscopy movies of microbes. He also built microscopes that included polarizers. Claimed that a beam ray could destroy pathogens. Claimed to have documented a mortal oscillatory rate for various pathogenic organisms. So my understanding is you got to know like the frequencies to use for each kind of organism you're trying to nuke. With certain exceptions, he could do this, he said. Could not be independently replicated. Okay, well, who knows? That's the history of the winners right here. And you know how that goes. Maybe the history of the future will be that, or maybe it won't. It's an interesting name, though. Royal Rife. Why do these important people often have interesting names, or actually I didn't really get a look at his face. Interesting names or interesting appearances, something that marks them a certain way. Like Hitler, you know, he had that mustache, and even though the mustache has changed some, it was still unique enough that even if his face changed some, you still knew it was him. It's the guy with a little stubby mustache. Him or Charlie Chapman had the stubby mustache. Royal Rife. Okay, so somewhat normal looking except for the eyebrows. Not many photos. Well, I don't know. It seems like we're working our way up to something. So I think we may see more crazy stuff before this is over. This is a really chatty show. Do the more of them. Well, I hope the rest of you don't mind. I really don't have that many Mandelas, so nothing better to do than chit-chat. There was a huge discredit campaign against Royal Rife. See, that's the thing. You really can't tell truth from fiction anymore because the truth all turns out to be fiction, and the fiction turns out to be truth. Cartoons are real. I mean, it's just so whack-doodle. I couldn't really even say anything for sure anymore. We'll see if his life will change like Tesla. Oh, you mean like Rife? Yeah. I really probably should spend some time reading on him a bit so I can tell if it does. Rife has brown eyes now. Good one. Yeah, let's just see. Would definitely look up the True Stream Media YouTube video on Royal Rife. They explain how his work was confiscated. Alrighty, well, 2 hours of chatter hopefully is not too much. It's about time for me to head on out. Here I was thinking I wouldn't have much to say, but I guess it's me and I could just yap forever, so my apologies. Anyways, thank you all for coming and thank you for your contributions. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.